Today we're going over the first new Heroes banner of Book 10. Three Houses is here for the holiday season with base versions for Lorenz and Ignatz. We have Timeskip Rearmed Lysithea as the special pick, and then the Book 10 freebie unit is Chosen Alfonse, who will also be available for more copies. We'll talk about everyone's stats and skills, plus discuss some build ideas. The first focus unit is Lorenz, who is available at 4 or 5 star rarity. He will demote into 3 to 4 star after the banner is over, but you can also get 2 free copies right now by doing the Book 10 Celebration quest. Lorenz is a Blue Mage Cavalier with 42 HP, 48 attack, 45 speed, 23 defense, and 27 res. He has an attack super boon and pretty good offensive stats. We haven't gotten a Blue Mage Cav demote in like 7 years, but unfortunately we did just get OG Bruno with the start of Gen 10 BST. Bruno is the faster option with a pretty decent unique tome, and you can now plus 10 him if you got Heroic Grails. Lorenz is not bad, but he won't have the cheesy Vantage or Desperation that Bruno's got. Luckily, Lorenz does have an interesting skill for the free-to-play demo pool. He comes with Dragon Fang and Attack and Speed Bond 3, but Attack and Speed Far Trace 3 is a nice surprise. It's been years, and cheap console skills still aren't that easy to get outside stuff like Ephemera. Having a non-5-star source of console to slap on budget builds is always nice. For his inheritable tome, Lorenz has the Blue Sparrow tome. For his 12 might weapon, we're going back to conditions requiring you to initiate or be near an ally. You can get plus 5 stats, 10% attack is true damage per hit, and full deer piercing special activations. The Sparrow tome is alright for a basic offensive weapon. Cooldown for specials is slightly easier for mage cavs nowadays, but still a bit of an issue, and you got no slang. This isn't the worst inheritable to start off with, but I do think there are more interesting free-to-play options. With that being said, Lorenz can keep his base kit for a basic offensive build, although I would replace bond skills since typically mage cavs are moving away from the team to initiate. For replacements, you can use Slice with Sparrow to give a follow-up to act as offense in a follow-up, or you can go with Flared Sparrow for flame tiles. If you want to trigger a special for Sparrow Tome's DR Piercing, you can use Heavy Blade to charge 2 Cut and Glimmer or Moonbow. You can also use the still new Conjuring Breath, but that will take up the console slot. Feels kinda bad that range cams don't really have another console option like the melee cams have with Blue Skies or even Alarm. For Lorenz, unless you want to run Far Trace or Far Resound, you might want that Far Trace Echo skill. It kinda sucks, but we really want access to a combative B skill. For other inheritable tomes, the Blue Crab Tome from Homer or Devoted Cup from Valentine's Hubert are solid weapons. Crab Tome gives a follow-up attack with a self-attack buff, while Devoted Cup inflicts -7 speed and res, and Discord for light team debuffing. These two tomes want 5 advantageous statuses to gain 25 true damage. A basic mage cav combo that is really synergistic for this is Shackle plus the new Hone Cavalry C skills. Shackle inflicts 2 statuses, and Insight Hone or Hone Assault adds 1 more. This brings us up to 4 statuses, so 20 true damage ain't too bad. Devoted Cup's field deals stack with Speed and Shackle, and with Hone you can get a pretty nice team support setup while giving Lorenz some damage output. Now for premium weapons, Arcane Medusa has Slang plus Premium Pulse, and that can help set up the new Logic Mage special. Logic does require a penalty on the foe to get another -1 cooldown, so you kinda might want Shackle. You can get Logic with Conjuring Breath though, and the Breath type cooldown will benefit Logic's 5 cooldown. You can kinda mix and match any of these skills here. Now if you did go with Logic or even Magical Light for DR Piercing, then Arya can add some more true damage for burst. For other B skills, Desperation 4 can keep Lorenz alive for a second hit, or Resonance can add 50% piercing. For C skills, Oddspeed Wave 4 can give no follow-up, which Lorenz would like to have in general. You can borrow Bruno's Red Feud or try Shadow skills, but it's tough to top the Hone Cavalry buffs. For other Echo skills, Low is good, or you could try to get Slice follow-up from here. For an older weapon, Arcane Thunder would be decent with its Sling, Breath type cooldown, and Phono follow-up. It just lacks the stats and true damage of the more modern weapons. I don't know when we're going to get a 4th gen Arcane Blue Tome, but maybe within the next half a year. Be on the lookout for that. All in all, Lorenz is a decent offensive mage cav demote for a class that really doesn't get a lot of new members. Bruno did get out of NPC jail though, so unless Lorenz is your favorite, he does have a tough competitor right out of the gate. The only permanent 5-star unit for the banner is Ignatz. He's a Colorless Infantry Archer with 40 HP, 46 attack, 48 speed, 19 defense, and 46 res. Ignatz gets a nice speed super boom and is a high speed and res archer you might want to keep away from physical damage. For out skills, Ignatz has Glacies and Perfect Attack and Speed for no follow-up from the A slot. Ignatz's unique Watch for Bow is pretty simple. For foes within 3 rows or columns, inflict -5 stats. Those foes take 10 true damage, and their non-special % skills get reduced by half. For Ignatz himself, he has accelerated specials. He will get +10 stats in combat, 25 true damage, 15 flat DR, and pre-impulses -1 instant cooldown before attacking. I would say Watch for Bow is basically a 3rd and 4th gen arcane weapon with that pre-impulse and 50% piercing effect. Ignatz has the higher 4th gen true damage and flat DR amounts with no conditions, but the other half of his weapon is shareable with friends. Very simple offensive boost with stats, true damage, and DR piercing. Ignatz's personal skill is Watchful Eye, which boosts hit rate, and that's usually translated into DR piercing and Fey. Now for his inheritable B skill, Ignatz brings speed and defense havoc. At start of either phase, inflict -7 speed and defense, sabotage, and schism on foes within or with less res than the user, and are within 2 spaces of another enemy. After start of turn skills trigger, if at least 2 foes have sabotage still active, then the user gets con to 1. For combat, the user can inflict -4 speed and defense and deal true damage equal to 20% res. I believe this is the first defense debuffing havoc skill. Not all the high res units are mages, so here's another option for the physical damage dealers. Sabotage will double up the -7 speed and defense, and Schism can negate some nasty statuses. Now for playstyle, Ignatz can use his high res to run debuffing skills like Havoc. Naturally, you can also add ploy C skills to the mix, and you can either run the stat ploys like attack with speed, defense and res, or you can pulse up ploy for free -1 cooldown every turn. If Ignatz is in the back, he can passively debuff and charge up his special. This can allow him to proc his Glacius nuke, or you can ready Ice Wall for the faster %DR. Now another benefit of running ploys is getting exposure. That's another 10 true damage support, and Watch for Bow basically gives Ignatz 35 true damage himself. Now if you want cooldown and maybe aren't that keen on debuffing for support, then Ignatz could use Favor B skills. It also provides true damage support for an ally, although it will require an assist action to activate. In terms of combat, Ignatz doesn't really have any specific game plan. If you end up keeping Havoc, then Creation Pulse or Pulse Up can ready Ice Wall immediately in a fight. Big special proc, and you get the 40% unpierceable DR after. Lagu's Friend's another option for this, though it's pretty enemy phase focused. Now if you drop the support passives, Ignatz can utilize combative skills like Execution Breath, Low Finish, or Speed Taker. For a more mixed defensive flair, you could try pair up with a 40% DR special like Arch Rival or Comet. Guaranteed % damage reduction, and pair up can add flat DR while also making Ignatz tougher to double. Now for other skills, you can get times Pulse or Tempo as Sacred Seals or Echo skills. Nullsea Disrupt can help against healers, or Ignatz can use Low or Slight Echo. If you wanted an instant special, you can run Curved Shot. You might be able to get a second proc if you tank a hit. For the support-centric builds, Still or Crystalline Water can give flat res for those Havoc employ res checks. Infantry No Follow can be a nice C skill for no follow-up. Besides Favor, you could also do Rally plus Ruse debuffs. All in all, Ignatz isn't the most complex 5-star archer, but he can use his high res to support the team while still dealing respectable damage. With skills like Favor or Exposure, there could be a niche for a pretty good amount of true damage support. Our next unit is Rearmed Lysithea. This time she's a green infantry mage. For stats, she has 38 HP, 49 attack, 48 speed, 26 defense, and 32 res. Attack and speed super boons, and while Lysithea isn't the tankiest unit ever, this is definitely her most sturdy assault. For all skills, Lysithea has Creation Pulse and the still pretty new Conjuring Breath, instant and true damage, anti-healing, and some flat DR, along with breath type cooldown. Like other infantry Lysitheas, she will be stacking a lot of cooldown once again. Now Lysithea does have an arcane weapon, but for whatever reason, I guess the devs don't want to use the arcane name anymore. Suttinger's Mystery is inheritable, and while it's the 3rd arcane green tome, it's got that 4th gen series of effects. The green tome didn't get a no follow-up arcane option. For this weapon, at start of turn and after acting, inflict -7 speed and res, panic, and discord onto the closest foe and foes within 2 spaces. We then have all the 4th gen effects with no activation conditions: Slaying, plus 15 stats, 25 true damage, 15 flat DR, and 50% DR piercing for all hits. Suttinger's doesn't have the cooldown or warping of Truth Fire, but it just has so much more true damage and flat DR. Instead of self-buffs, it also has team support in the form of debuffs. Lysithea will need 2 statuses and debuffs for her kit. Like her 2-time ult, Lysithea has a unique A skill once again. She actually keeps the same perks from Mastermind, but we got so much more added on. First, at start of either phase, grant plus 6 attack and speed, preempt pulse, and the 40% DR for 1 hit when initiating status. Each turn, Lysithea takes 1 damage herself. With no conditions, she can get plus 9 to all stats, full no follow-up, and if decreasing the speed roll by 10 would allow Lysithea to double, then she gets a 100% potent follow-up attack. Last, Lysithea deals true damage equal to X times 80%. She gets flat damage reduction equal to half the true damage amount. I hope you studied algebra because X is equal to A plus B. A is the highest total field boss among Lysithea or allies within 3 spaces. B is the highest total debuffs on the target and foes within 3 spaces. In other words, A is treachery true damage that can borrow from nearby allies. B is dominance true damage that can borrow from nearby enemies. Altogether, Lysithea basically gets true damage equal to 80% treachery plus 80% dominance. This was on T-Time Lysithea as well. New to this alt is that she also gets flat DR equal to half the true damage amount. Lysithea's weapon inflicts debuffs for dominance, while True Genius grants buffs for treachery. You really want to get full buff / debuff coverage for maximum true damage and flat damage reduction. For other effects, this skill can give preempt pulse, no follow-up, and 100% potent to add to Lysithea's firepower. She also gets regular 40% damage reduction. Like a true genius, Lysithea uses Logic, which is a brand new inheritable mage only special. This 5 cooldown special deals damage equal to 70% attack, but if the foe has an active penalty, then it goes up to 80% attack scaling. If the mage initiates, you get 40% unpierceable DR for all hits taken. If the foe has a penalty active, you also get another -1 instant cooldown. Logic is a hive cooldown special that has the same 40% DR as Haste Slice. This means you only get it when initiating, but it covers any and all attacks. Now if you want unpierceable DR for mage calves and flyers who don't have high defensive res, then this is the only option for units like Lorenz. Now the other part of the logic is that if the foe has any penalty, stat debuff or negative status, then you can get preempt pulse. It will be very nice to help with that 5 cooldown. Okay, so Rearmed Lysithea has a pretty nasty game plan. In general, try to take advantage of her treachery and dominance effects. You're going to want full field buffs and full debuff coverage. With just Lysithea's plus 6 attack and speed and -7 speed and res, she would get 20 true damage and 10 flat DR. Septinger adds another 25 true damage to get this to 45 total, and then Conjuring Breath has its own true damage effect as well. This amount will be higher the more buffs and debuffs on the field, and remember that panicked field buffs do count toward dominance. You can also stack the treachery and dominance statuses, although those will not borrow from nearby units. Now for more damage, Lysithea has all the cooldown perks. Septinger has Slaying, we have the Preempt Pulse status, we have Creation Pulse, and Logic altogether will give us 5 cooldown. If the foe survives, Lysithea has 40% unpierceable DR and 40% regular DR to tank a hit. She also can get at least 32 flat DR from her base kits. Again, this can be higher with more buffs and debuffs. Now thanks to Conjuring Breath, Lysithea can recharge Logic after getting hit and doing her regular follow-up attack. You then have the 100% potent hit to proc a second Logic Bomb. If you want to avoid guard, you can run Speed and Rest Tempo as a Sacred Seal. Scout and Defensive Tempo could stop Lysithea's game plan, but if Lysithea is doubling or tripling, then chances are she'll get at least one of these Logic procs. For other skills, you could run Low Finish if you can outsource Breath type cooldown. Lysithea's 1 damage recoil activates Desperation 4 outright, which is what the T-Time ult did before. It's not a bad idea now that Lysithea has a 100% potent hit, but you're gonna lose some combative power in that B slot. Now because Lysithea isn't a total glass cannon, you could also try to run a mixed phase build. Instead of Logic, run Comet for 40% DR on first attacks on either phase. To further protect against brave hits and be tougher to double, you can use Pair Up. For NLC Disrupt, you can run Silence Ward. Maybe get Volley or the new Ike for close counter support. While Lysithea isn't disabling specials or stacking a lot of regular % DR like some of the other mages this year, she at least has a better chance to tank hits than all her other roles. Overall, Rearmed Lysithea will be dropping Logic nukes if you don't scowl or prevent her follow-up attacks. She has some decent support add-ons, although for full potential, Lysithea will want Ally Help for full coverage of field buffing and debuffing on the map. The last unit for the banner is Chosen Alfonse, who is also our Book 10 freebie unit. After 8 years, the Bench Lord has properly been promoted, and Alfonse is a new Chosen Hero type. As a quick TLDR, Chosen Heroes are essentially a new update on Legendary Heroes. Alfonse can grant power to one ally, and during win seasons, he can give multiple benefits in the arena modes. This includes in-game weapon triangle power-ups where even colorless allies get weapon triangle advantage versus colorless enemies. Alfonse himself will get higher arena score, being treated as a 220 BST unit, and all his skills are treated as having the max SP value. For his chosen target ally, if they score lower than Alfonse, then they will now score the same as Alfonse. In addition, Alfonse's chosen ally effectively gets a win blessing, so you can keep your other blessings intact. For new info, Chosen Alfonse will not be in December's end of the monthly banner. His first rerun is going to be in February 2026, so if you want extra copies right now, you're going to need to summon on this banner. Moving on, as a unit, Alfonse is a sword infantry with 42 HP, 49 attack, 16 speed, 49 defense, and 48 res. He has an attack super boon and is basically a slow min-max tank like his Brave Vault. For old skills, Alfonse has Ike's Warrior's Blow. He also has Preempt Ploy since he does have good base resistance. Now Alfonse's chosen sword is pretty simple. At start of either phase, grant plus 6 attack and defense, bulwark, and breath type cooldown to allies within 2 spaces. This is a slaying weapon, and Alfonse gets plus 16 attack, defense, and res in combat. He deals 25 true damage and has 15 Excel type flat DR. Alfonse will have 50% piercing on every hit. And finally, if he has higher defense, or there are 2 allies within 3 rows or columns, then Alfonse gets brave attacks. Chosen Sword provides cooldown and bulwark to set up a front line. Alfonse basically has the 4th gen arcane weapon perks minus bonus speed, and he gets Excel flat DR to counteract specials. For his unique 4 cooldown special, Alfonse has Ascendant King. Maybe that's a spoiler, but I guess Alfonse might properly ascend the throne by the end of Ragnarok. Now in battle, Ascendant King is an Ignatz special dealing 80% defense as bonus damage. Alfonse will get 40% unpierceable DR for all hits taken. He has Conto Distance +1 and built-in distant counter. At start of enemy phase, Alfonse sets up stone terrain within 2 spaces. At the start of player phase, Alfonse gains Gallop for +2 movement, and he will give +2 Great Talent for attack, defense, and res to himself and allies within 3 rows or columns. After combat, if the special triggered, Alfonse can give his team +4 Great Talent stats. Like before, Alfonse has a max of +20 Great Talent, and his allies can get +10 max from this skill. Ascendant King is basically Brave Alfonse's Makings of a King special bumped up to 4 cooldown so it deals more damage. He is infantry, but Alfonse will still move 4 spaces, and he gets the same counter effect as his Brave Vault. This time, Alfonse has distant counter, and his 40% DR works all the time while applying stone terrain. No more fortifications A skill needed. For the Great Talent stats, it's the exact same for Alfonse, where he passively gets +2 each turn and +4 if the special triggers. However, the Great Talent sharing for allies is no longer halved. They will power up at the same rate as Alfonse now, although their cap is still +10 attack, defense, and res. For another update on his Brave Vault, Chosen Alfonse has Rejuvenate, which is kinda just reopening too. If unit initiates or is within 3 spaces of an ally, inflict -4 attack, defense, and res, and guard on the foe. The user gets 20% defense scaling true damage and flat DR. For new effects, Rejuvenate gives Nelsie Disrupt and 7 HP healing after combat. Rejuvenate is a pure upgrade to reopening, but the catch is that due to the Nelsie Disrupt effect, it is only for melee infantry units. They really don't want Cavs and Flyers to get nice tank skills, Brave Alfonse included. With that being said, Rejuvenate doesn't seem that crazy, to be honest. If you need Nelsie Disrupt on a high defense melee unit, then sure, but it's got the same true damage and flat DR as skills like Lagu's Friend. Generally speaking, Chosen Alfonse is an infantry version of Brave Alfonse with some nice quality of life. He's still got the Great Talent abilities, and fortifications is kinda just baked into his kit, although Alfonse wouldn't be able to cleanse Divine Veins during player phase, so that might be something to take note of. He isn't a Cavalier, but Alfonse still moves 4 spaces, and he has got great Conto ability. Instead of pre-charging a single special proc, this Alfonse is going for brave hits and multiple cooldown perks to charge Ascendant King. Unless the foe has Scowl or defensive tempo, then Alfonse procs a special on his second brave hit. Defensively, you got the same 40% unpierceable DR, and Warrior's Blow / Rejuvenate gives flat DR stacking. Alfonse can heal 7 HP after combat, but he doesn't have Breath of Life 4 unless you want to swap that back in. While Alfonse's base kit is fine, especially for a freebie, you could switch to Pulse Up Ploy for -1 cooldown every single turn. While you're stalling, Alfonse is getting free great talent stats, and he might pre-charge Ascendant King. He is slow, but if you can get a follow-up skill for quad attacks, then double special procs would be possible. In fact, you could use Patience and initiate with Hardy Bearing to get rid of the Vantage effect. If Alfonse can trigger an instant special, his second Brave hit and an enemy counterattack might recharge Ascendant King. Patience would give a guaranteed third hit at 50% strength, but that might be enough to finish a job. Now for an alternate option, Momentum gives instant cooldown and a follow-up, and Alfonse is moving 4 spaces to make the most of it. You could use Slice 30 Blow, but these skills are lacking flat DR, which lowers Alfonse's tanking power. These are more pure aggression skills. For more options, you technically could run Legu's Friend for a 100% DR piercing special, but I don't know if that's necessary. Fatal Smoke could be nice for tank versus tank stalling matchups. Besides Squad A seals for more HP, or Tech and Defense Finish for a little more burst, you could run Deflect seals to stack percent DR. If Alfonse isn't getting a KO, he is going to get hit a lot. Might be enough to tank an assault with Deflect. In conclusion, Chosen Alfonse is a very nice free unit, definitely worthy of a main lord promotion. That will be it for this banner breakdown. Unlike last time, we're kind of back to our regularly scheduled 4-man banner, and we do have a Grand Hero battle, this time for Raphael. I'll talk about it more in the next video. We do have a bunch of ongoing quests right now, so be sure to complete those for the Book 10 celebration rewards. Later this month, we got the Winter banner coming up, and then probably some kind of crazy emblem hero at the end. Maybe they're going to go for a double banner, because right after that is New Year's. Time to be very careful with your orb stashes. Thank you for watching, enjoy your free Alfonse, and I will see you in the next video.